Change of state. This is another topic which we are going to discuss in calorimetry. Now this topic is very important. It is because whenever you start heating a substance, initially the temperature of substance go on increasing. But after certain temperature, the state of substance changes due to the effect of heat energy. As for example, if you start heating a solid, initially the temperature of solid will go on increasing because you are supplying heat energy to the solid. But after some time, at a particular temperature, that solid will start to change into its liquid state. And this process is called change in state. And similar is the case when we heat a liquid. When you start heating a liquid, after some time, at a particular temperature which is called boiling point, the liquid will start to boil. It means now the whole heat energy which is supplied to the liquid is utilized in changing the state, that is changing the state of matter from liquid to gaseous state. So in all such process where the state is changed, there is either gain of heat energy or loss of heat energy. Because if you consider a body at higher temperature, then if we keep that body in an open atmosphere, the temperature of that body will gradually fall. Okay? And similarly, if we suppose a liquid at a higher temperature and we start cooling that liquid, as for example, if you place a bottle of water in your fridge, then initially the temperature of your water will decrease gradually, and at a particular temperature the liquid will start to change into solid state. You have kept water, so that will start to change into ice. So while cooling a substance, when we cool a substance, the heat energy is expelled out. There is loss of heat energy. And when we are heating a substance, in that case we are providing heat energy to that substance. It means substance is gaining heat energy. Okay, so both the process involves rise or fall in temperature, but ultimately there will be a change in state after a particular temperature. And during the change of state, the whole heat energy supplied to the system or the heat energy which is removed from the system is not going to affect the temperature. It means the process of change in state occurs at a particular temperature. So this is the most important fact which we will discuss in this topic. Okay, so let us write here solid. If we heat a solid, this solid will change into liquid. And if we heat this liquid, then after some time this liquid will change into gaseous state. Okay. Now the process of conversion of solid into liquid is called melting. And the process of conversion of liquid into gases is called boiling. Okay. As for example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius and ice, which is solid form of water, melts at 0 degree Celsius. If we suppose reverse process, let us suppose a gas is to be converted into liquid, then we should cool a gas. So if you cool a gas, that will change into liquid, and this process is called liquefaction. Okay. Similarly, if you cool a liquid, it will change into solid, and this process is called, let me write here cool, and this process is called freezing. The process of change in state takes place at constant temperature. The constant temperature at which solid changes into liquid state without any rise in temperature is called melting point. The process is called melting and the temperature is called melting point. Similarly, the constant temperature at which liquid changes into gaseous state, or we can say liquid start to change into gaseous state. Here also we can mention solid start to change into liquid state. I will also write the definition. So the constant temperature at which liquid start to change into gaseous state is called boiling point or ebullition point. So the temperature is called boiling point. Let me write it in a small letter. Boiling point or ebullition point. Okay. We will mostly discuss about solid and liquid transition. It is also possible to change solid directly into gaseous state for some substances which are called sublimate. Sublimate are those substances which can directly change from solid to gaseous state. Whenever we heat, they will not form a liquid state, they will directly change into gaseous state, as for example camphor. Okay. So we are going to discuss mostly about this transition, solid to liquid transition, because we are going to discuss about the change in state of solid and liquid to solid. Okay. So this temperature at which the liquid start to change into solid state is called freezing point. And melting point and freezing point are the same temperature. As for example, if somebody says what is the melting point of ice, the answer is 0 degrees Celsius. And what is the freezing point of water, then the answer is also 0 degrees Celsius. So freezing point is for liquid and melting point is for solid, but both the values are same. As for example, freezing point of water is equal to 0 degree Celsius and melting point of ice, because if you are saying melting, then solid is going to melt. So we will write melting point of ice is equal to 0 degree Celsius. So you should not confuse, both the temperature values are same, but they denote different phenomena. If you are converting solid into liquid, then you say the process is melting and the temperature is called melting point. And if you are cooling a liquid to change it into solid, then the process is called freezing, and the temperature at which liquid start to change into solid without any rise in temperature is called freezing point. FP actually, not B. Okay. So let me define the terms first. Melting point. The constant temperature at which solid starts to change into its liquid state is called melting point. Okay. And similarly, boiling point. The constant temperature at which liquid starts to change into its gaseous state is called boiling point. Okay. Definitions are very important because they are asked in examinations, so you must know. And the most important thing which you should mention in the definition is without any rise in temperature. Here also we will write gaseous state without any rise in temperature. Okay, so it will make your definition 100% correct. Now, heating curve of solid. What is heating curve? If we start to supply heat energy to a solid and at the same time we are also measuring the temperature of solid with respect to time, then we can draw a graph between temperature and time. Now what happens when we start to heat a solid? Initially the solid will have particular temperature, and when we start heating that solid, the temperature of solid will go on increasing. So if we draw a graph, here it is temperature and here I have time in second, temperature in degree Celsius. So if we draw a graph between temperature of solid and time, then we will see that initially the temperature of solid will go on increasing with the time, but after some time the temperature becomes constant and there is no increase in temperature. After some time you will notice that the thermometer reading becomes constant. There is no increase in the temperature of the solid, because as soon as this temperature is achieved by the solid starts to melt, and you will see that there are two states, solid as well as liquid, in the capillary tube or vessel in which you are carrying out the experiment. So this constant temperature is called melting point of solid. The constant temperature at which solid start to change into liquid. So if I name this graph A, B, C, so AB represents solid, okay, B is the melting point of this solid, and BC represents solid liquid equilibrium. During this duration of time, the vessel will contain solid as well as liquid state existing together in equilibrium. At point C, whole solid will get converted into liquid state, and after the whole solid gets converted into liquid state, then again there is rise in temperature with the time. So CD represents liquid state, okay, and there is rise in temperature. So we have AB representing solid state, BC represents solid liquid equilibrium with no rise in temperature. B is the melting point. It means it is the temperature at which solid start to change into liquid without any rise in temperature. You can see this portion BC is parallel to the x-axis. It is not inclined. It means the temperature is not increasing. At point C, whole solid get converted into liquid. If you continuously heat that solid, after some time whole solid will get converted into liquid. It means your vessel will contain only liquid. This is the point C, which represents that whole solid has been converted into liquid, and after that point you will again see increase in temperature, because now we have liquid state in the vessel. The solid state has been converted into liquid state, and this curve is called heating curve of solid, because you are heating a solid and gradually its temperature rises up to the melting point where it starts to change into liquid state, and finally the whole solid changes into liquid state, and again after point C there is rise in the temperature of liquid state of the substance. Okay, so this is heating curve of solid. Similarly, we can make a cooling curve. So let me draw it with another color. Cooling curve. So let us suppose a liquid which is continuously cooled. As for example, if you have kept a water in a glass inside your fridge, what happens? The temperature of that liquid goes on decreasing. So if the initial temperature is this point, it will go on decreasing and finally it will reach to B. Now this is very important fact. The freezing point and melting points are same. So if you start cooling a liquid, this is liquid at some higher temperature. If you start cooling a liquid, the temperature of liquid will gradually fall, and at a particular temperature, the liquid will start to get converted into solid state. And that point is called freezing point. Now, you must be clear that freezing point and melting points are same for a substance. It means if we consider a particular substance, let us suppose example of water. So the freezing point of water is also 0 degrees Celsius and melting point of ice is also 0 degrees Celsius. So for a substance, melting point and freezing point are same. So if we start cooling a liquid, initially the temperature of liquid will go on decreasing. At particular temperature, which is represented by point B, the liquid will start to change into solid. And now the change in state will continue without any fall in temperature, because in this process the temperature is falling. But as soon as the liquid start to change into solid form, there will be no fall in temperature till whole liquid get converted into solid state. And at point C, the whole liquid will get converted into solid state, and after that there will be further fall in temperature. So let us name this curve E, B, C, F. EBCF is a cooling curve. Okay. So both heating curve and cooling curve are represented in a same figure. You must be able to understand this. Heating curve means where we are supplying heat energy. So the temperature will increase. After some time, the solid will start to melt. So the temperature will not increase for a particular duration of time till whole solid gets converted into liquid state. As soon as the whole solid gets converted into liquid state, again the liquid will start to gain heat energy and increase its temperature. So CD represents a liquid state with increasing temperature. For cooling curve, we have the initial temperature of liquid at E. When we start to cool a liquid, initially the temperature of liquid will fall along EB. At B, the liquid will start to change into its solid form, and this point is called freezing point. And melting point, freezing point are same for a substance. Now along BC, the liquid will continuously change into solid state without any fall in temperature. And after point C, this CF represents solid state with gradual fall in temperature. So this is heating and cooling curve of a substance. Okay. Now let us take one more example. Heating curve of water. Water is initially in liquid state. So I can draw here. Okay. This is temperature and this is time. Initially, let us suppose the water is at 25 degrees Celsius. If we start heating a water at 25 degrees Celsius, the temperature of water will go on increasing with time. Okay. And after reaching 100 degrees Celsius, which is the boiling point of water, the water present in the vessel will start to boil. It means the liquid start to change into gaseous state. So 100 degrees is the boiling point of water, and Now the water will start to change into its vapor phase, or we can say gaseous phase. So here we will have water as well as vapors in equilibrium. Here we have only water, and as soon as the whole water is converted into vapor, again there will be rise in temperature, and this is steam. So steam has temperature greater than 100 degrees Celsius. In many exams it is asked that why it is more dangerous to be burnt by steam rather than water. So certainly steam has temperature more than 100 degrees Celsius. Water has temperature maximum up to 100 degrees Celsius. And steam has more than 100 degrees Celsius. So clearly if you burn by a steam, then it will be more painful or more injurious rather than that of hot water. Okay. So this is heating curve of water. In examination usually the graph is given and the students are asked to mention the states, or they are asked to give reason why BC is not inclined, why BC is parallel to time axis. So you can simply say that this BC represents change in state, and during the change in state the whole amount of energy is utilized by substance in changing the state, and there is no rise in temperature. Okay, and all other things which I have told you, you can mention there if question has been asked. Okay, so this is all about the heating and cooling curve. Now the next thing is that the amount of heat energy which is required to change the state, and we will talk about changing a solid into liquid only. We will discuss only the conversion of solid into liquid, that is melting. All other processes are not included in the syllabus of this class. So we will discuss only the conversion of solid into liquid, which is called melting or fusion. Fusion is also a term used for melting. You can also write here fusion. Okay, so we will only discuss about fusion, that is conversion of solid to liquid. Okay, so let us discuss. Solid, when it is heated, it gets converted into liquid, and the process is called melting or fusion. Now it is clear to you that whenever we want to change a solid into liquid state, we must have to supply heat energy to the solid, and the amount of heat energy which is required to change a solid into its liquid state without rise in temperature is called latent heat of fusion. Let me write it. Latent heat of fusion. Let me define it first. The amount of heat energy required to change a solid into its liquid state without any rise in temperature is called latent heat of fusion. So this is simply the amount of heat energy required to convert a solid into its liquid form without rise in temperature. So simply you can write latent heat of fusion is equal to heat required to convert solid into liquid. Okay. So what will be the unit of latent heat of fusion? It is heat required. So the unit of heat is joule. So the unit of latent heat of fusion is joule. Okay, SI unit is joule. Other unit may be calorie. Now, I have told you about heat capacity or thermal capacity. You must have understood that topic. In heat capacity or thermal capacity, I have discussed that the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of substance by 1 degree Celsius. Means if there is any substance and we want to increase its temperature by 1 degree Celsius, then the amount of heat energy required will be heat capacity or thermal capacity. But here I have not mentioned that rise in temperature is 1 degree Celsius, because if you rise temperature by 1 degree Celsius, you cannot melt a solid. So this is the amount of heat energy required till the solid melts. Means we will continuously supply heat energy to the solid till it melts. Okay. Same substance may have different values of latent heat of fusion. As I have given you example about the heat capacity. If 3 students A, B and C are told to measure the latent heat of fusion of substance, let us say that they have taken different amounts, then certainly they will get different values of latent heat of fusion. Student A takes 1 gram, student B takes 10 gram, student C takes 100 gram, then they will get different values of latent heat of fusion. So we can write same substance may have different values of latent heat of fusion. In the same way as I have discussed about heat capacity or thermal capacity in my last class. Okay. So to eradicate this problem, next term is defined, which is called specific latent heat of fusion, where we take unit mass of the substance. Okay. So let us define that. Specific latent heat of fusion. Specific latent heat of fusion. So simply we can define as the amount of heat energy required to convert 1 gram of, or we can say 1 unit mass of solid into its liquid state without any rise in temperature is called a specific latent heat of fusion. Let me write here. The amount of heat energy required to change a unit mass of solid into its liquid state without any rise in temperature is called specific latent heat of fusion. Okay, and in case of specific latent heat of fusion, the mass is fixed, 1 unit mass. Okay, and here in this case the mass is not fixed. So if the same students are asked to find out the value of specific latent heat of fusion, then they will take 1 gram. All the students will take 1 gram, because specific latent heat of fusion is the amount of heat energy required to melt 1 gram of solid into liquid state, or 1 kg of solid into liquid state. You should take 1 unit mass. Okay, so the specific latent heat of fusion is equal to heat absorbed by mass. So its unit will be SI unit of this is equal to joule per gram or joule per kg. Joule per kg is the SI unit and this is most commonly used unit, joule per gram. SI unit is joule per kg. Okay. So we have learned two terms regarding heat capacity and specific heat capacity. Similarly, we have latent heat of fusion and specific latent heat of fusion. The only difference is that when we say specific, then the mass is specified. The mass of substance to be taken should be 1 unit mass. For experimental purpose, we should take a small amount. So generally 1 gram mass is used. Okay. So you have clear difference between heat capacity, specific heat capacity, latent heat, specific latent heat. Now let us see what is the core concept. Heat capacity means the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of substance by 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin. Means simply I can write, if you want to raise the temperature of substance by 1 degree Celsius, whatever the mass of substance may be, either it may be a small substance or large substance, it does not matter. The amount of heat required will be called heat capacity. And if the mass is fixed, if you take 1 gram of substance and then you want to raise its temperature by 1 degree Celsius, then the heat required is called specific heat capacity. Okay. So we have formula heat capacity is equal to mass into specific heat capacity, because in specific heat capacity you calculate the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree Celsius. So if you take 10 gram, then just multiply by 10 to this specific heat capacity, you will know about the heat capacity. Okay. So we have also mentioned this formula, C dash is equal to M into C. I have already told you. Now latent heat, when we say latent heat of fusion, it means we are talking about melting a solid. Okay. So here the latent heat is the amount of heat required to melt a solid, yani solid to liquid, melting. The amount of heat energy required to melt a given mass of solid into liquid state. The mass is not specified, whatever may be the mass. Specific latent heat, in this case we talk about 1 gram mass. The amount of heat energy required to melt 1 gram of solid completely into liquid state without any rise in temperature. So latent heat is the total amount of heat required to melt a solid, but specific latent heat is the heat required to melt 1 gram of solid. Okay. So we can write latent heat is equal to M into L, where L is specific latent heat of fusion. Okay. Or we can say the heat required to melt a solid is equal to mass into specific latent heat. This is denoted by L. This is denoted by L. So heat required to melt a solid, let us suppose the mass of solid is M, is equal to M into L, where L is specific latent heat. The concept should be very clear. Then only you can do numerical problems in very easy way. Otherwise you will not be able to do such problems based on specific latent heat of fusion. Now the whole topic has only one theme, that whenever the question includes conversion of state, if in question it has been asked that you are told to convert ice into water, then the process of conversion involves latent heat of fusion, while the process of rise in temperature involves heat capacity, that is whenever we are asked to calculate the value of heat energy required to raise the temperature, then we use a specific heat capacity and mass for the calculation. But if it has been mentioned that there is change in state during the rise in temperature, as for example, ice is present at -5 degrees Celsius and it is converted into water at 2 degrees Celsius, then you should know that ice is at -5 degrees Celsius. So first of all, when you will heat, you will get ice at 0 degrees Celsius. After that, when you will heat, this ice will get converted into water without any increase in temperature. And finally, when you will heat this water will gain temperature of 5 degrees Celsius. Now you can notice, ice to ice, -5 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius, there is rise in temperature, and this rise is theta r is equal to 5 degrees Celsius. Now here there is no rise in temperature, there is change in state. Change in state. And again, when water is at 0 degrees Celsius, then this water is heated up to 5 degrees Celsius. So again here we have theta rise, which is 2 degrees Celsius I have given here. So I should write 2 degrees Celsius. So the rise in temperature is 2 degrees Celsius. So if you want to calculate the heat energy required for this process, then here you should calculate H is equal to mc theta r, which I have told you earlier. Whenever there is no change in state, but there is rise in temperature, then the heat required is mc theta r, mass of ice, specific heat capacity of ice, and rise in temperature. Here there is change of state. So in change of state, heat required is m into L. L is specific latent heat of ice and m is the mass of ice. And here again there is no change in state and there is rise in temperature. So we will calculate H is equal to mc theta r. Here the mass of water and the specific heat capacity of water will be used. The mass will not change because if ice melts completely into water, the mass will be fixed. Mass will not change. But the specific heat capacity of ice is different from that of water. So specific heat capacity value will differ. Temperature rise value will also differ, but mass will not differ. The most important thing is that during change of state, the heat required is calculated by m into L, where L is specific latent heat of fusion. You are generally asked questions related to water and ice, so you should be friendly with this type of questions. Okay, so now it's time to take some numericals and understand the concept. Okay, so let us do some numericals on this topic. So here I have first question. 4000 calories of heat is supplied to ice at 0 degrees Celsius. So let me mention the informations according to question. Ice is present at 0 degree Celsius and 4000 heat supplied is 4000 calorie, and then it get converted into water, but there is no rise in temperature. The water is also at 0 degree Celsius, means there is no rise in temperature. So there is change in state only. Change in state. This is very simple question. There is only change in state. Specific latent heat of ice. Specific latent heat of ice is also given. It is 80 calorie per gram. And we have to find the mass of ice. Mass of ice is equal to what? Now we can write during change of state, heat absorbed is equal to m into L. M is mass and L is specific latent heat of ice, because the substance is ice. Initial substance is ice. So you just put the value, you will get the answer. Heat absorbed is 4000 calorie. Mass we have to find it, and L is 80 calorie per gram. So this is given in calorie per gram, okay, and it is in calories. So calorie will cancel and you will get your answer in gram. So 4000 by 80 is equal to mass 50. So your mass is 50 grams. So this is very easy question, because there is no change in there is no rise in temperature. Actually there is change in state, but there is no rise in temperature. So this is very simple case, and you must understand that whenever there is change in state, we use the formula heat absorbed is equal to m into L, where L is specific latent heat of fusion. Okay. Now in the next question we will consider both the case together. Okay. So let us take one question more. So here I have second question, and this question includes both the concepts, rise in temperature and change in state. So let us read it first. 100 gram of ice at minus 10 degrees Celsius. So let us know this fact. Ice at minus 10 degree Celsius is heated on a gas stove till it forms water at 80 degrees Celsius. So you cannot convert ice directly into water at 80 degrees Celsius without passing through 0 degree Celsius. So initially when you will heat ice at minus 10 degrees Celsius, there will be rise in temperature without any change in state. Up to 0 degrees Celsius, the state will be ice. After 0 degrees Celsius, when you will start heating, this ice will change into water at the same temperature, that is 0 degree Celsius, no rise in temperature. And after that, when you will heat, this water will get converted into water at 80 degree Celsius. So accordingly, three questions are asked. Heat required to bring ice at 0 degree Celsius, heat required to melt ice, and then heat required to bring water at 80 degree Celsius. The question has already given hint to you about the step to solve the question. Okay. So this process is rise in temperature, and the rise is minus 10 to 0. So just know it. Minus 10, minus 9, minus 8, minus 7, minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, and then 0. So you follow 10 units rise in temperature. So here we have theta rise is equal to 10 degree Celsius. Here there is no rise in temperature. This is change in state. Change in state. And here again we have rise in temperature, that is 80 degree Celsius. Okay. So you can easily do this question. First, heat required to bring ice at 0 degree Celsius. This is rise in temperature. So heat required is equal to mc theta r. Mass of ice, it is given already in this question, 100 gram. So I will write here 100. Specific heat capacity of ice. You have to write specific heat capacity of ice, because this is ice and it is also getting converted into the same substance, that is ice at higher temperature, 0 degree Celsius. So specific heat capacity value is 2 joule per gram per degree Celsius. You have taken mass in gram, so there is no problem. And rise in temperature is 10 degree Celsius. So your answer is 2000 joule. Okay, this is your answer. The next question is heat required to melt ice. Melt means change in state. So heat required will be m into L. Mass of ice, again this is 100 gram. And specific latent heat of fusion of ice is 336 joule per gram. So you will get 33600. Okay. So 33,600 joules. And C, heat required to bring water at 80 degrees Celsius. You have already converted the state of a substance. Now again there is rise in temperature. So again we will use the formula mc theta r, but the specific heat capacity used will be of water. So heat required in third case is equal to mc theta r. The mass will be same, because if you melt a ice, the mass will not change. So it will be 100. the specific heat capacity of water is different from ice, so we will put 4.2 and rise in temperature is 80. Just multiply it. 4.2 was, you can write 42 into 8. 8 2 is 16, 1. This is 336. So 33600, 33,600 joule. This is again your answer. Okay. So this is all about the rise in temperature and change in state together. Okay. So these are very unique questions and they are important as far as the examinations are concerned. So I hope you will be able to do such questions. You should try to do questions from your book. There are a lot of questions as practice problems in your book, and if you will do such questions, the concept will be very clear, because I have mentioned this fact many times that the study of physics requires three things. First of all, you try to understand the concept. If there is some formula or unit, then try to mention that formula or unit, and after that you try to solve numerical problem. If you follow these three steps, then your physics will be quite strong and you will score a lot of marks in physics. Okay, I hope you will do this. That's all.